What's going on, Knicks Nation? I want to welcome you back to Knicks Deli, baby. Knicks Deli. Welcome back. I want to thank you guys for rocking with me. I got a great video today. We want to talk a little bit about Kristaps Porzingis.
What?
All right, one part of this video that I absolutely enjoyed, and it was a good start to the video, was when Ariel had asked KP about his changing perception around the league. So he made sure to add the background. He said, since you left New York and you went on to Dallas and now that you're here in Washington, it seems that the perception about you and your reputation is beginning to change. It's beginning to change in a positive manner. How do you feel about that, Kristaps? And Kristaps took this opportunity to say, you know what? I agree. But I think it also coincides with me playing better. But he acknowledged the fact that the way that he left New York, the situation surrounding the way he left New York, not only left New Yorkers with a bad taste in their mouth, but it skewed the perception about him being a prima donna, about his team being prima donnas, and feeling as if they could exert more power than they actually had in the NBA. So I love the way Helwani posed this question, and the fact that it almost seems that every question throughout had a singular thread of the foundation or the basis of being in New York and the perception of him in the eyes of fans across the NBA as well as New York. All right, so that was a great point.
I don't think it, like, the bigger markets doesn't bother me. Like, the thing is, like, I'm always basketball first, so it's true that I don't like to do a lot of, like, off the court stuff, So when you were in a bigger market, they ask you to do more stuff. But
that's developed. Like, maybe early on, people weren't quite sure what to think of you, all the stuff, all the drama in New York, and then this Dallas thing. And now I feel like the perception of you is ultimate team guy, so good to be around, happy, not a malcontent. Like, do you feel also in Washington that the perception, the way people talk about you and discuss you and perceive you has also altered as well?
Yeah, I think it's changing a little bit for sure. But you know what is helping me playing better? It's helping, that always helps, whenever you're playing better, you can, yeah, that's what it is mostly, but yeah, it's good that kind of maybe the negativity that I had, like, lingering from New York is kind of fading a little bit. Although the other day I tweeted something about Kyle Lowry, and the Knicks fans were obviously mad about the game and they were killing me. But there's a lot of, like, support still in New York also, and I think a lot of people have kind of let me live.
Now, I love, you guys got to notice this, and I pick it up because I'm huge on body language. I can almost deem myself as being an expert in body language, okay? And you guys got to notice that when he's answering these questions, he's very serious. He's always, and he's been this way since he was a rookie. He was very media savvy, media trained, always controlled, always, comported himself well. But I love the way there's a stark difference when he talks about New York and when he talks about the Knicks. He changes his frame. His frame is a little bit different when he starts to make reference to the team that drafted him. You notice that his face softens. He becomes a little bit lighter, and he almost speaks in terms of like a nostalgic fondness about him as he references something that could be sensitive. He talks a little bit about giving props to Kyle Lowry on Twitter and how Knicks Nation came after him. But he didn't say it like he was just tired and aggravated. Why don't they let it go? He said it almost like, and this is the way I'm going to be able to put it. He said it like Zion Williamson did when the media asked Zion Williamson, what does he feel about the Garden? What does he think about Madison Square Garden? And although Zion is always, burly and, I'm going to focus on the game, I want to dominate. When he was asking about Madison Square Garden, he was, oh man, I was waiting for you to ask me that question. I can't believe you asked the right questions. And then he went on to talk about Madison Square Garden as if Madison Square Garden was the prettiest girl in the room, or the prettiest person in the room, depending on, if you're female or male or whatever. But you were the prettiest. he absolutely was just like, I can't believe you talk to me. Let me tell you how beautiful you are. And he began to talk and expound on the greatness and espouse whatever. I'm in my Stephen A. Smith vocabulary bank. But he started talking so wonderfully about Madison Square Garden. And it's the same type of spirit that Kristaps Porzingis has, and he's not doing it intentionally. In an NBA where we see all these contrived moments, you know, same thing with Zion, but Zion was like, damn, I finally get an opportunity to answer honestly. Not the contrived LeBron, oh, I think I might retire, I'm not gonna be back. Everything he does is kind of like calculated. This was so natural to KP. When KP was just like, man, you know, they came at me. The only other thing I could kind of compare it to is when you break up in a relationship, and Helwani referenced this, he said it's almost like a scorned lover or something along those lines. When you break up in a relationship and you like, yo, once mine, always mine. You know, those moments where you see your ex smiling at somebody else and you're like, hey, not while I'm here, what you doing? And you know if your ex still got feelings, they be like, oh, my bad, I'm just, my bad, I didn't mean to do that. That was KP saying, oh, my bad, Knicks fan. You know, I ain't looking at them. I'm just saying they do look nice today. You know what I mean? But you know, we always here. We got this. That's what I was getting from KP in that exchange. So if you watch the video, you see when he talked about the Lowry moment, that he also noticed on Twitter how Knicks fans responded. So that almost makes you think relationship ain't over. We're about to get back together. All right, and I'm a little bit with that.
So hopefully I don't get too much hate from New York.
Does that bum you out? Do you wish you had a better relationship with New York?
Of course. The city of New York, like playing in MSG. So of course I have like this, not the best feeling, you know, when I get this so much hate. But as I said, it's better. And of course, I can understand now how the fans could feel that way for how they viewed me at that time. And then I asked for a trade, you know, and boom, I'm out. And then, you know, I get painted as the villain, you know, and yeah, but it is what it is. And my career is moved in this direction, and I'm good now in Washington.
Do you have regrets about your time there?
No, not about my time there. I enjoyed every minute so much playing in New York.
Are you the kind, like the Twitter thing you mentioned? Do you read Twitter a lot? Do you read the comments?
Too much, yeah.
Too much. How do you stop doing that?
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize.
Babe, take me back, babe. I fucking love you. Please, babe. I won't ever do that again. Fuck the other bitch. She don't even know how to fucking cook fucking quesadillas, babe. Fuck, I'm even down for you. Look, babe.
When I'm done playing, I'll write a book and tell everything. You know what I mean?
Oh man, what a book, huh? Do we even know, like, do we know 50% of the story? I feel like we don't even know 50% of the story.
I don't know. I don't remember anymore.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No more.
One thing I enjoyed about watching this video is that KP clearly understands his mistakes. And sometimes that's all it takes. It takes an opportunity for you to grow and see things from a different perspective and learn from it. And clearly you can see the level of maturity that KP has when he speaks about what he sees overall, the overall picture right now. And he understands why New York Knicks fans were upset and were so volatile towards him since he left. He understands that passion and that vitriol is the feeling of being scorned, that we loved him, you know, and then we loved what he brought to the city, and we loved the potential that was there had he stayed. So he's starting to understand that, and you see him say that in terms of the conditions around the trade and how his mouth played a role, and that he was identified as the as the villain, I'm sorry. But he also talked about how he enjoyed every moment. And he also said when he's retired and he writes his book, then the story is going to come out surrounding everything. And what I love about Helwani also said, I get the sense that we don't even know 50% of the whole story. And you know, that's exactly what I'm saying. There are some things that are unsaid right now that he knows his career will take a hit if he comes out and says it. Some people will say, oh, that's why. But in terms of his standing and maybe friendships and relationships around the league, he's going to take a hit. So that's why when he said, when he retires, I'm going to be able to tell everything. All right. So we're going to stay woke until that time comes. We're going to stay woke and look for that book, because I guarantee you I'm going to reflect on these videos and show you how right I was. Truly going to show you how right I was. But what I also love, but I have a problem with in terms of Helwani in this video, I'm going to say this. Helwani, kudos to you. You did a lot of tampering and I love it. You know what I mean? So basically you was pretty much asking all the questions. You're sending the message to the front office. You're sending the message to James Dolan. You're sending the message to Knicks fans, kind of giving them an idea of where you stand. But also, where Kristaps stands. But also there was a moment where you were pandering, brother. There was a moment where you was pandering and you said, oh, but Knicks fans, they understood that it was a terrible organization. It was an ish show there, and who wouldn't want to leave? No, that's why we draft #1 picks. You don't get great teams who get great talent like that, or at that moment, talent with great potential. It's the bum teams that get a prospect like that, and you there to get built around or added to turn the fortunes around. So don't give them that out by saying, oh, who wouldn't want to leave a place in the condition that it was in? I think Knicks fans would agree. No, we don't agree with you. F out of here with that. F out of here with that. But I see your strategy. I know you do things intentionally, and maybe it's not, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You can't completely allow KP to do what he's doing. He's taking ownership of the circumstances around which he left. He's taking ownership. He's like, listen, I understand. And I look back on it, and I was young, and I let some people influence me, but that's behind me. But I understand why Knicks fans feel the way they do. Helwani pulled it back a little bit. He was just like, all right, we appreciate you saying that. We acknowledge you saying that, but I'm going to throw you a little bit of a line as well. The conditions under which you were in and the circumstances surrounding the team and where we were, they weren't the best. So we understand how you could feel the way you felt. He was throwing him a lifeline to pull him back and not completely have him out there as almost like he's groveling. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, it's all me, it's all me. Although it was to a certain extent, but Helwani kind of threw it out there to kind of let him know, like, listen, we take part ownership in what led you out as well. So kudos to you, Ariel Helwani, with the tampering and then the pandering, but it all will serve as something fruitful in terms of how it ends. If as an unrestricted free agent, if he has a choice, and if we extend the olive branch, then we can make that reunion happen. Let me see. And the last part I'm going to point out is the part where he talks about Helwani is a savage and he's excellent in terms of his intellect when he asked this question. What about Twitter? So do you really pay attention to Twitter, or are you on Twitter? And KP was just like, son, like all the time. He didn't say that, but that was basically how he expressed it. But I love how Helwani asked that question, because basically, if I'm interpreting what Helwani was meaning, he's basically saying, do you hear what Knicks fans are saying? Do you see how Knicks fans respond to you on Twitter? Do you pay attention? At least that's my interpretation of it. And KP's response was just like, yeah, I do. I pay attention too much. For him to even make the reference to New York's response to his comment on Kyle Lowry shows that that's his way of keeping the temperature of New York. And every time he lights up when he talks about the Knicks and his time there and the fans and regrets, things of that nature, I think he feels more positive about a reunion because he keeps his finger on the pulse of Knicks fans by using Twitter. And also, we talked about how our success in the playoffs, how the New York Knicks completely swamp social media when they're showing and expressing their love for the team. You know, we talk about that, but we also talk about free agents noticing. We also talk about players around the league taking notice of that environment. Everybody talks about the Tom Thibodeau effect. Tom Thibodeau's bringing stability. The New York Knicks are a stable organization. They got players that are making a difference. You got Jalen Brunson there. You don't know the relationship between Jalen Brunson and KP. They played together. And KP talked about he felt he could take his game to another level because he felt as if having such a bold, dominant, great player in Luka put a ceiling on his projection, his potential. Now, what if that was something that was discussed between him and Porzingis previously? You can see that Porzingis is like, yo, he was phenomenal in Dallas. What if I bring my talents to New York and play with him there without Luka, and we get on the same page with that team? So I thought this was, it even undercut me planning for my other video, Let Them Cook. And that's going to be coming soon as well. But I found this fascinating, and I wanted to get this out there as soon as possible for you guys. So tell me this, what do you think? Leave your comments below. Let me know if I'm bugging. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you're open to the possibility of a reunion with KP. Bars. I'm spitting. All right? And keep this in mind. Same thing applies to life as applies to our team. If there's no struggle, there's no progress. And not only are we here, but we got right mother flipping now. Knicks Daily Edition. Peace.